Hi, welcome back to the shed. I guess it's been a while, 2 months to be precise. So I've got a bit of explaining to do. I haven't stopped doing the boat build, and we'll get straight into that. But I'll just give you a bit of an explanation as to what's been going on. So we decided that we needed just a little bit more money coming in. When we stopped sailing and moved, onto the block, obviously our costs went up a little bit. And also we lost some of our audience, when we stopped sailing. So revenue went down, we had a little baby, costs went up. I'm sure any new parents can understand. So I decided that we wanted a little bit more money, and I decided to start a business. So it took me a little while just to get my head around a few things, but here we are, a couple of months later. The business is up and running, it seems to be successful, some money's coming in, and I can get back to boat building, which is really great. Going forward, there will be some times when I'll be really, really busy. It is a service business. I decided to start that just because I like giving people something that they want, and I get a chance to meet people in my local community. So there will be busy times and there will be slowdowns on the boat build, but hopefully not as dramatic as this one. With regards to that, there was a few other ways that we could have made some more money, and that was increase our advertising. All right, you'll notice that we don't put adverts, through the middle of our videos, just because we can't stand that sort of thing. So we didn't want to do that. We leave a little bit of money on the table there just because we hate advertising so much. And in fact, if we could get away with not having it at the start, we wouldn't even subject you to that. But it actually turns out that YouTube doesn't recommend our videos quite as strongly if there's nothing in it for them. So we actually, that's why we started putting ads on at the start anyway. Some of our patrons have stuck with us, which is amazing, and thank you very much. Hopefully we express our gratitude to you guys frequently enough. I'm not sure that we do, but we do appreciate it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Patreon is a site where people have signed up and they've agreed to pay a small amount of money, or sometimes not so small, but it's up to them, just in exchange for every video that we make. So if we don't make a video, there's no exchange of money. It's the old patronage system that's been around since Leonardo da Vinci, just with a modern twist. So thank you everyone that's signed up for that. That gives us a nice little kick as well. What else? So we've also been asked on occasion to market goods to you, to sell stuff to you, and we didn't do that either, because why did we do it? Well, basically all the stuff that we've been asked to sell to you is crap, and as far as we're concerned, the world is swimming in enough crap already, so we don't want to be a part of it. So there we go, that's what it is. We wanted some more money, and I decided to start a business. So there you go. It has meant that we can't necessarily do all the videos that we want. Pascal's really held the fort nicely. She's tried to keep up a regular a video to you each week. Now it does take us about somewhere between 20 and 30 hours a week to make these videos. The reason it takes so long is, if you're used to watching documentaries or whatever, if you look at the end, there's usually 40 plus people. There's only, usually, when Pascal and I make these videos, 1 or 2. Maybe, all right? So it does take us a while to shoot it, and then it takes a while to edit and put it all together, find the nice music, get all the nice transitions, get the color just right, get the sound just right, and then send it on its way. And so you can see now that we are new parents, and we've got a new business, and we've got farm animals and all the rest of it. Sometimes we just can't get that video to you, and I apologize. All of those people that have been with us for so long, we really do appreciate that you have devoted your precious time to us, and so let's just have that as a means of explanation. I said that before our sailing videos were more popular. Some people might be like, well, why don't you just go sailing? And we get that a lot, why don't you just go sailing? We did have our daughter. We've got a little baby, and we want her grandparents to see her in these very special years. We think it would be just too cruel to whisk her away and go sailing as well. So that's off the table. we hold family in quite high regard. So no, we can't do that. I am building a boat though, and that's what we should get back to. So anyway, that's where I've been. I've been off starting a new business. It's been a learning curve, but you know, it's up and running. But now we can get back to a little bit of boat building. What I'm doing at the moment is just celebrating, and I'm putting a brand new multi-purpose saw blade in my circular saw because I've got some ripping to do. So before me here I've got some slabs of Australian eucalypt. Now this is West Australian blackbutt. It's quite a good boat building timber. And I came across this by a kind offer from our friend Sean out at Ladycroft Orchard. If you've been with us a bit, you might, that name might be familiar. We've got apples from there to make our wedding cider. We've gleaned apples from there when we were feeding pigs. They've just been very generous friends in all. So this tree was in one of their fields that was set to become an apple orchard. So there was one just outside and there was one inside the boundary that was going to be expanded. So this tree was fallen for that, and rather than have it go to waste, they milled it up. So Sean made these available. So he's very kindly sent me away with 3 slabs because we weren't quite sure what we could get out of it. My neighbour Don will be helping me, and I consulted with him because he knows a bit more about timber than I do, particularly West Australian hardwoods. So what we're going to do, we've had a look. One of these slabs we should be able to get all the timber that we need. So we're going to be chasing the longitudinal stringers and also the chine stringers for this boat. So the bits of timber that go along the boat, give it its shape and stop the frames from wobbling back and forward. So our plan of attack is basically to rip these into 45, they're 60 thick, these slabs, 45 by 60. Later on we'll be knocking those into 45 by 10s. So the stringers themselves want to be 20 mil. We're making it 10 so we can laminate them, just so we can get a bend and twist a little bit easier. But enough of that, why don't we just get into action and we'll see how things transpire that way.
First, we used a piece of iron angle to determine how close to the edge we could get our first cut. We placed sacrificial gluts under the slab for the saw blade to cut into, enabling us to use the lower slab as a saw bench. Using our initial baseline, we set the angle iron the required distance to guide the circular saw, as in previous videos. Having a friend to mine the cord and wedge the cut was a huge help.
Okay, so that went really well. Ripped them out of the slab, thickness them just to get them, you know, within dimension, 45 millimeters, pretty close. And then we just pop those on the table saw then and rip them down into 10 millimeter stringer sections. Very nice straight grain in these. I'm very pleased with it. It was quite a good result. So sometime during the day I started out wearing safety glasses, and I actually ended up popping on the full chainsaw kit because I was just wearing chips in the face. They were just getting everywhere. It's less fun than it sounds actually. So 10 mil. So what we're going to do is we're going to use these. The plans call for 45 by 20. These are 45 by 10. So of course, as we put them in, we're going to put them in stages. We'll put the 10 millimeter in, and then we'll laminate another 10 millimeter on top. That means that it'll be much easier to bend. We won't need to do any steam bending or anything complicated like that. And also these 10 millimeters, they do have a bit more of a chance of twisting as well, in a change of direction where they come through the frames and meet the next frame. So there we go, very nice stack. We've got everything that we need and some spares out of one slab. That means I can return those other 2 slabs to Sean, and I'm ever so grateful to him for that, because that is a nice part of the project taken care of. Okay, well, something definitely worth pointing out, and it is in the plans for these boats, but it is fairly common sense, is you try and get as much sanding and finishing of these frames as you can before you put it in the boat. So I've been coating these with epoxy, sanding and everything else like that, getting them as finished as I can before I sort of install it. You could cut out all the pliers, put them all like that, leave it uncoated and assemble the boat and then coat it later if you wanted to. But yeah, like I prefer to just at least get an initial coat on there straight away. So that saves me a little bit of work later on, but it also seals the timber in epoxy right now. So no moisture in the air, anything like that can make any changes.
I've discussed before how useful multi-tools are for removing unwanted blobs of epoxy. Here's a few different blades and how I use them. Trimming some of the support timbers is left till now to avoid errors of measurement. Before moving on, I still had to glue and screw the stiffeners to the stem piece. That also required a clean and sanded surface. To get the aft bulkheads at the correct spacing and angle, the plans asked to use the cockpit seat fronts as a temporary brace, so back to the drawing board. Screws can also be used to secure the parts together at this stage, but so can hot glue, which is a bit quicker.
Well, yesterday's work looks really, really great. This I-beam that we've created out of this stem piece, incredibly stiff and strong. I shouldn't be very surprised. I-beams are pretty old technology, but you know, this is really becoming a rigid thing now. That's still a bit floppy because we haven't put the stringers in there. So we're building up strength in the boat as we put all of these bits and pieces in. So these are just the 20 by 20 pieces, top and bottom on both sides. So in cross section makes an eye. This has become very, very stiff. I do want to go through, there's a few bits of bare wood just here and there. I need to clean up any dribbled epoxy. I don't need to go too much into aesthetics on this, but I do want to bring it up to a high standard, and I do want to make sure that all of the wood, and particularly any edge ply, is well coated with epoxy. Once I put the bunk flats on here, this is not a place that I want to access, and I definitely do not want water ingress into my wood. One other thing that we got done yesterday, this was that troublesome bulkhead. If you remember back before, there was a bit of an issue with the plans. It didn't really line up, but the top part, the bottom part is lined up here. We haven't made that wedge yet, but this is all stuck in place. We can see that I have some nice fillets in here, just where it joins vertically and horizontally on both sides. You know, that really spreads that load nicely. And also I've just made sure that these drain holes, they are absolutely clear, you know, for the passage of water. And I've also taken like a special care to make sure that all of the wood under these is really, really well sealed. Okay, so these fillets will help, you know, as the boat is moving alongside. I've tried to make these as smooth as possible, just so the passage of water goes as smoothly as it can. And also there's a bit of a rough fillet along this side. I will be smoothing that and coating it out as well. Anything that I leave a little bit rough will help algae and mold take a foothold. So as I'm going through here, the finish I want to achieve is fairly smooth, not because I'll be casting, or someone else will be casting a critical eye over it later on. But I just do want to be able to slosh a little bit of bleach or something like that in, let it go through, and make sure that any voids that I have don't become dark, dank, nasty places. So pretty much the last thing I've got to do before everything's lined up and ready to go is just some screws from this back end through this 20 by 20 reinforcing here on this last bulkhead. So we've got like a temporary brace here, just holding it at exactly the right distance. So that will go on there, and once that's screwed in, that should also hold it at the right height so I can fit my chine under there. I'll get the chine in the right spot, put it all in and shape it, and then this can be dropped in and glued in place later on. But at the moment it's just important to have that there so we've got somewhere where we can reference where we put the chine. One last important job before I start getting into those chine stringers is just to go along and make sure that there's no epoxy lumps getting in the way. So while I was putting in fillets and things like that, I'm usually very careful, but sometimes I'll drop a bit of epoxy and I don't see it. Some it's on the frame, some gets on the hull here. Easy enough to remove, but I just want to get through that before we start laying up those stringers, and I'm a bit preoccupied by doing that and the frustrations that might be involved. So a little bit of a conflict with boat building and filmmaking in that some things are just not very interesting, but they're very time consuming. So all the sanding is like that, whereas I can spend the better part of a week doing a whole lot of sanding, but how do I video it so that you don't all go to sleep? But anyway, oh well, that looks terrific. So I've got all the bulkheads in place, and I'm just testing that the chine stringer, I've cut the 75mm piece, the 3-inch piece, into thirds, and I'm just checking to see that it conforms to these bends without too much stress, and it does. So I'm just making sure it touches the inside of all of these cutouts for the chine stringer. This is probably the heaviest bend that it has to do, so I just want to test this one. We're going to laminate that up, but I might do that in next episode. So it's been really great getting that forward stem piece done. I've still got a little bit of work to do that I'll do off camera, just more coats. Down at the aft end of the boat, those bits are just in place temporarily until we get this chine stringer, then we can glue all them in. But things are rapidly happening now, so that's it's really great. The temperatures are really warming up at the moment. It's 31. We're looking at going to 39 and 40 later on. So dealing with epoxy, it used to be cold and it was very, very slow. The epoxy goes off quite quickly now, so I'm able to work a little bit quicker, and that's really fantastic. So we might wrap up the episode there. We've got to this sort of milestone. Thank you very much for joining us again. Sorry that there has been a gap, but hopefully at the start I explained that away. And you're sympathetic with my position. So by the time this gets to you, hopefully you've had a wonderful Christmas. Hopefully you got to see some family, or at least friends, and you're looking forward to a great new year, because I certainly am. All right, I'm going to just keep going, and I will see you next episode.